This episode is brought to you by the Strong Coffee Company. Coffee for thinkers, creators and doers. It's not just caffeine, it's fueled with protein and collagen. Start strong every morning at strongcoffeecompany.com and use VanCrux1 for 20% off. Close your eyes for a moment. The sound of this podcast fades. The walls, the chair you're sitting on, gone. In the darkness behind your eyelids, what remains of the world? What if everything you know, every colour, every sound, every object, doesn't exist out there, but in here? What if reality itself only exists because you perceive it? By the end of this episode, you'll see how George Berkeley's radical idea to be is to be perceived flips science, philosophy and even modern physics upside down. Because if Berkeley was right, the entire universe depends on you being awake to it. Berkeley was born in 1685 in Ireland. He was the kind of child who would stare at a candle flame for minutes. Not because it fascinated him, but because he was wondering whether it still existed when he blinked. At college, Berkeley quickly became known for his almost unsettling clarity of thought. While his peers were mesmerising and memorising over Aristotle, he was already questioning whether Aristotle himself existed outside of human minds. By his 20s, he had written 2 works that would forever change philosophy: a treatise concerning the principles of human knowledge, and 3 dialogues between Hylas and Philonous. In those pages, he proposed something so radical it almost sounded absurd: that the physical world, the trees, oceans and stars, had no existence independent of perception. At the time when the Enlightenment worshipped reason and science, Berkeley introduced or reintroduced the divine. He stood against the growing tide of materialism, insisting that behind every atom and equation lay not matter but mind. He said, it's immaterialism. Reality exists only in the mind. So imagine you're standing in an art gallery. You see a painting of an apple, red, round, glistening. You lean close to smell. Nothing. You reach out. It's flat. The apple was never there. Berkeley said that the real world works exactly the same way. When you look at an apple in real life, you assume it exists independently of you. But according to Berkeley, that apple, its colour, its taste, its texture, exist only as sensations in your mind. His famous phrase, esse est percepi, to be is to be perceived, captures it perfectly. If no one perceives the apple, it doesn't exist. Think about that for a moment. If every person left Earth, would mountains, oceans and stars continue to exist? Berkeley said yes, but only because something greater perceives them. He wasn't denying reality, he was reframing it. Reality isn't a thing out there. It's a living experience in here. In modern neuroscience, this sounds eerily familiar. Scientists now tell us that the brain constructs the world, colour, sound, space, from electrical impulses. You don't see the world, you simulate it. Berkeley saw that truth 300 years earlier. He said God is the ultimate perceiver. Let's revisit a classic question. If a tree falls in a forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? Berkeley's answer is simple. Yes, because God heard it. The universe, he says, doesn't vanish when no human is watching. It continues because an infinite, all-seeing consciousness perceives all things at all times. In Berkeley's mind, God wasn't a distant clockmaker. He was the ever-present observer keeping the film of reality running. Without him, the movie would simply stop. Imagine walking through your house. You leave a room, Your couch, your table, your books all disappear from your awareness, but they still exist because they are still perceived by the divine mind. Reality then is not an object, it's a conversation between God and the human soul, he says. The laws of nature, they're not cold equations, they're the grammar of divine speech, the syntax of creation itself. Every sunrise is God saying continue. Every heartbeat is his punctuation mark, reminding you you exist because you are perceived. This episode is powered by More Labs, a recovery drink that rehydrates your body and sharpens your focus, whether it's after long nights or intense workouts. Visit morelabs.com and use code VANCRUX1 for 25% off. Back to the episode. And then he says, experience is all there is. John Locke said that the mind is a blank slate written upon by experience. Berkeley took it even further. The writing itself is all there is. Whether you feel the warmth of sunlight, you assume you're touching something physical, the sun's energy. But Berkeley said you're not feeling the sun. You're feeling the idea of warmth created in your consciousness. It's like a dream. When you dream of walking through rain, you feel wet, but no water exists. The experience feels real, yet it's entirely mental. Berkeley believed all life is like that, a vivid dream held within the mind of God. This wasn't an argument against truth, it was a declaration of divine intimacy. If every sensation, colour and sound is an idea sustained by God, then you are never separate from him. You live inside his perception, a conscious wave in an infinite ocean of awareness. Berkeley's enemies were not men, but ideas. He fought against the cold materialism that defined his age, the notion that the universe was just a machine of lifeless atoms obeying mathematical laws. He looked at thinkers like Newton and Descartes and said, "You've explained how things move, but not why they exist." To Berkeley, science was like studying the grammar of a language without realising its poetry. Imagine reading a love letter and analysing only the ink patterns, the font, the spacing, and missing the message entirely. That, Berkeley thought, was how scientists treated nature. He proposed something breathtaking. The laws of nature are divine grammar. The falling of an apple isn't just gravity, it's God whispering, the world holds together. Matter isn't dead, it's a message. Berkeley also attacks philosophers who claimed we could think in pure abstractions like triangle-ness or colour itself. He argued that we never think of something in general. You imagine a blue triangle, a small one, a sharp one, but never an abstract triangle. For Berkeley, this was crucial. Truth doesn't live in abstractions, it lives in perception. He wanted philosophy to stay grounded in lived experience, not float into meaningless theory. In a way, he was saying that psychologists today echo, the mind can't picture everything, only something. This simple idea foreshadowed the entire movement of phenomenology centuries later, the study of how reality is experienced, not theorised. In the end, Berkeley offered a vision of existence both mystical and empowering. Reality is not a machine made of matter, it's a living system of consciousness. There are finite minds like yours, and one infinite mind, God's. You don't live in the universe lives through you. Every perception is a brushstroke in a vast painting, co-created by your awareness and divine perception. And when you close your eyes at night, perhaps you're not leaving reality, just stepping into another form of it. When Berkeley first presented his theory, people laughed. Dr. Samuel Johnson famously kicked a stone and said, "I refute it thus, believing that physical pain proved matter's existence." But Berkeley wasn't denying the stone, he was asking something deeper. What does it mean to know the stone exists? Centuries later, physicists discovered that observation collapses quantum states, meaning reality itself behaves differently when watched. And in our time of virtual reality and simulation, Berkeley's question feels eerily relevant again. If perception creates experience, how different is your life from a dream that feels real? What if reality itself is consciousness playing hide and seek with itself? Maybe, as Berkeley believed, We're not in the world. We're within the mind that dreamed it into being. This episode was sponsored by Liquor Gummies, the smart way to enjoy your night and wake up ready for the next day. Packed with electrolytes and vitamins, it can help your body recover before the hangover hits. Visit liquor.com, liqure.com, and use code VANCRUX1 for 20% off.